Well, good morning. The time is 10 a.m. I call to order the May 15, 2025 meeting of the Public Affairs Committee. I'm Diana Love, the committee chair. Please note that committee members Steve Panelli and Mary Teichert have excused absences. Only board members who are members of the Public Affairs Committee may participate in this committee meeting. Other board members who are in attendance may observe but cannot ask questions or participate in the discussion. Committee members, please leave your cameras on during the meeting. When you would like to comment during the meeting, please select the raise your hand icon on the WebEx application. I will call on committee members to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself, and when finished, return to mute. Public Affairs Supervisor Dave Gower is our host and moderator today. Today's meeting will provide the committee some updates on important Public Affairs Office strategic plan items and priorities. Because this teleconference committee meeting is fully remote, committee members cannot make recommendation or motions. However, committee members can gather information, receive comments, and discuss among themselves what will be included in the summary report of the meeting that will be available to the full board at the June 13th board meeting. At this time, we'll have a roll call. Robin, can you please call roll and establish a quorum?
Diana Love.
Here.
Alan Guy.
Here.
Jacob Lopez. He's absent. Steve Panelli has excused absence. Josef Preciado.
Here.
Jim Ruane.
Here.
Mary Teichert has excused absence. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Robin. Next is agenda item B. I don't have an A of the roll call. Thank you. Okay. Next is agenda item B, our public comment section. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items not on the agenda. To allow this committee enough time to conduct its full schedule of business, I will be limiting public comments to 3 minutes each. Please note that state law prohibits committee members from discussing any matter brought up during public comment. We are also not allowed to act on any item not on the agenda. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you can ask us to consider placing that item on the agenda of a future meeting. If you have an application, complaint, or disciplinary charges pending before the board, we ask that you do not discuss the details of your case or pending complaint. Committee members are not permitted to receive evidence or information that is not part of the administrative record in the case. If your comments are related to a specific agenda item, you can make your comments now, but you may want to wait until that item comes up for discussion. We will ask for public comments before acting on any item. Dave, please check to see if there are any members of the public who wish to address the committee or offer an agenda item.
No public comments at this time.
Okay, any committee members? Any comments or agenda items? Seeing none, we will move to our next agenda item. Item C, update and discussion regarding 2025-27 Public Affairs Strategic Plan objectives. Today, we're going to provide updates regarding 2 Public Affairs Strategic Plan items. The first item we will discuss is Objective 4.1, improve the clarity and tone of board communications to increase public understanding. Plain language is a key part of the board's communication efforts, and Chief of Public Affairs, Catherine White, will discuss what has been completed so far. Catherine?
Thank you, Chair Love. First of all, if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so public affairs staff are regularly reviewing press releases, industry bulletins, and newsletters to determine where plain language edits need to be made. The tone has shifted in these documents to be more conversational and more understandable for stakeholders. Staff have also reviewed our public outreach presentations, such as those we use for the senior scam stopper seminars and the licensing workshops, to see where language can be simplified for audiences. Staff will continue to review all of its publications to revise content and ensure key points are clear to stakeholders involved. If there are certain publications that the committee believes need to be revised for the public, Public Affairs can prioritize those as we continue our review. With that, I'll turn the table back over to Chair Love for committee discussion.
Thank you, Catherine. Do any committee members have any questions or comments on this item? Dave, are there any hands raised?
No hands raised.
Okay. Does the public have any comments?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you. We will now move to the second part of this agenda item. The second item we will discuss is Objective 4.4, update the CSLB website to make it more accessible and user-friendly. I will note that some of the efforts the Public Affairs Office has made on this item. CSLB has been working with the Department of Consumer Affairs on an eventual website update that will change the look of the website to be more uniform across boards and bureaus. This does not currently have a target date, but the committee will be updated once we have more details. The DCA website currently has a carousel on the front page that rotates to different featured items, including CSLB's Disaster Help Center. The Public Affairs team has been working on other website updates, especially following the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles County. The Disaster Help Center was made more prominent on the homepage with a green button that can be seen as soon as you visit cslb.ca.gov. When you visit the Disaster Help Center, the page has been updated with the most current information regarding debris removal in the fires and other resources in the recovery. This page includes a list of contractors with the authorization, classifications, and required hazardous material removal certification who have informed CSLB they are interested in providing debris removal bids to wildfire survivors. The Disaster Help Center page also includes important consumer protection tips on how to research a contractor and home improvement contract requirements that caution to not pay for work that has not been performed. CSLB plans to survey the more than 50,000 general build contractors authorized to bid and contract for the rebuild that have a business address in the Los Angeles basin. General building contractors expressing interest in providing wildfire bids will be added to the Disaster Help Center page. Public Affairs staff are continuing to review the website to identify opportunities for additional updates. One of the updates may be updating the Find My Licensed Contractor feature to Find a Licensed Contractor, which will be discussed in the next item. Does the committee have any other suggestions to improve the CSLB's website? Dave, do you see any hands raised?
No hands raised.
Any comments from the public?
No public comments.
Okay, this concludes this item. We will now move into our next item. Item D, review and discussion regarding Find My Licensed Contractor branding. I have previously requested the Find My Licensed Contractor title to be renamed to Find a Licensed Contractor. Prior to this being changed, we wanted the Public Affairs Committee to share their thoughts on it, but first some history regarding it. Catherine?
Before I go into my discussion, I understand that Jacob Lopez has joined the meeting.
Can we put him on the screen, Louis?
Which one you put on the screen? Jacob Lopez.
Jacob Lopez has joined.
Scroll down and see if he's there.
We're going to make sure that we note that for the record.
There we go.
There he is.
Hello, everybody.
It's just the way it's worked. Okay, there it goes. Yeah, yes.
Hello, thank you.
Great. With that, I'll continue. Okay. Again, thank you, Chair Love, and welcome Jacob to the meeting. For some background, the Find My Licensed Contractor feature was first launched in January 2018 to make it easier for consumers to find a licensed contractor for their home improvement projects. The feature was also to help contractors search for possible subcontractors and awarding agencies look for bidders for public works contracts. The feature continues to be a regular use as stakeholders use it in researching a contractor. In 2024, the Find My Licensed Contractor page was viewed nearly 2 million times and is among the top 10 pages viewed on the website. As a result, it is noted in different locations around the website, including the Disaster Help Center and Public Data Portal, along with press releases about sting operations. If the committee chooses to move forward with changing it, staff will need to update the various locations on the website with this branding. With that, I'll turn the table back to Chair Love for discussion.
Thank you, Catherine. Do any committee members have any questions or comments?
No hands raised.
Okay, before I go into public comments, I have a question. This was my suggestion because it was confusing. It sounded like when you go to find my contractor that you were looking for a contractor that you were currently using instead of finding a contractor, someone that you wanted to use. If you could just give me an explanation about where you say you would have to update other portals. Wouldn't it just be the name change only?
It would not be the name change only, partially because the Find My Licensed Contractor feature is an entire page. And so anytime a result comes up with it, it has a Find My Licensed Contractor. So we have to update the public data portal to do that. And we can do that, but it's one of those things that it's just going to require extra steps. It's not as simple as changing the name and that's it. There's other back end things that will have to be updated as well.
Okay.
We don't know how often it's used, how many people use that feature.
We don't know exactly how many people have used it, but we know that last year it was used 2 million times.
Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
let's leave a question for the committee. Would it be a little more clear to the public if it was just find a licensed contractor or find my licensed contractor? As Catherine said, this goes back, I guess, to 2018. At the time, the public affairs chief was Rick Lopez. I'll remember Rick, but I think he's the one that came up with that term. Yeah, so we need to update it. So we put the resources into making that change.
Well, I'm in favor of the change because I am.
I have a comment. I think it's two different searches we're talking about, right? I mean, I think us personally, we used Find My Licensed Contractor, and a lot of contractors do daily when we're looking at subcontracting work to make sure they have the correct license. So it's very convenient for that. Now, I will say when I was trying to find a licensed subcontractor, it was pretty cumbersome to get through that thing to like search, for example, a C22 asbestos contractor. So it might be a different search function for that, right? You'd want to be able to narrow it down by license type and potentially location or zip code would be probably more useful to the public.
Well, on that page, the Find My License, you have more than one option. You can put in your zip code, you can put in your address, and you can put in the classification on that same page. So it's used for both, but that's the only option you have if you're looking for a licensed contractor. It just took me a while to figure out that was the only option I had to find a licensed contractor. I had to use Find My Licensed Contractor.
Is Find My Licensed Contractor different than Check a Licensed Contractor on the website?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I retract my
Yes.
statement then. Sorry, I've never looked at that one. I've used the wrong webpage to try and find a contractor then. No wonder.
See?
No wonder it didn't work well.
That's what I'm saying. So does this require a vote from the committee to change it?
Well,
It won't be a committee vote today. We're just an advisory committee today, meeting remotely. But
Okay.
You can certainly make a report to the full board to see if there's an interest in.
Okay. I will do that then.
we can plan on
Okay,
it
so
for next month.
Yeah.
So going-
I just
So
want to
where
ask,
is this on the website? Can someone tell me where this is on the website? Sorry. How do I find the right licensed contractor?
So if you go to the home page and you scroll down, On the left side, you'll see a button that says Find My Licensed Contractor.
Online service quick links to quick hits.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
I see it. Thank you.
So Cheryl, if you could maybe describe, if you're a wildfire survivor and you go to the Disaster Help Center, we have a search tool there to find contractors. It's part of our public data portal, but it's very effective in putting information in to find contractors in your area with the proper classifications and certifications. That's kind of a separate lookup that we make available for wildfire survivors. But I think it's demonstrated, Find My Licensed Contractor, Find a Licensed Contractor has proven to be a very effective feature. It gives you a rolling list of contractors with the classification you're looking for in your area.
I don't personally think that it would affect what's been done in the past because that's the only feature that they had to use, but it just makes it more clear when you say find a licensed contractor, whether it's your contractor or that you're currently using or whether you're looking for a contractor. But I'll bring it to the full board.
So
We'll
we
put
would
that
put
on the
that on
agenda.
the agenda for the board
Yes.
meeting.
Yes,
That's right.
thank you.
Okay.
So does the public have any comments on this item?
No public comments.
Okay, we will now move to our next agenda item. Item E, review and discussion regarding career opportunities for justice-involved individuals. This next agenda item was one I personally asked to be an item for a future meeting. This item addresses career opportunity for justice-involved individuals. Now per DCA legal, justice-involved individuals refers to people who have had interactions with the criminal justice system as a defendant. This item looks at how CSLB can assist these individuals seeking employment once their sentence has been completed. Before the committee moves further with this, the committee should be aware of how the licensure process works for applicants with criminal convictions. All applicants have to be fingerprinted ahead of being licensed, which then leads to a criminal background check. Each licensed applicant is evaluated on a case-by-case basis to determine license eligibility. A criminal conviction or formal license disciplinary does not automatically preclude an applicant from CSLB licensure. Licensing Chief Carol Gagon can describe this process further. Carol?
Yes, thank you. So all licensed applicants and officers must be fingerprinted as part of the application process. Their fingerprints are then sent to the FBI, the Department of Justice, for a background check. Any arrest or conviction records are then sent to CSLB's criminal background staff for review before the license can be issued. If the person has a felony conviction for a crime that is substantially related to the qualifications, functions, or duties of a licensee, the applicant may be determined to be rehabilitated if 7 years have passed, depending on the crime. For misdemeanor convictions, an applicant may be determined to be rehabilitated if 3 years have passed. If more than 3 years from a misdemeanor or 7 years from a felony have passed, then staff will review factors such as the extent to which the applicant has complied with terms of parole, probation, or restitution. Staff also look for consistent work history after release from incarceration or the completion of probation if no incarceration was imposed, and documents or testimony from credible individuals who can attest to the applicant's present fitness for licensure. There are no convictions that will automatically preclude an applicant from licensure. However, certain convictions older than the 7-year time frame may be grounds for denial if the applicant was convicted of a serious felony as defined in Penal Code Section 1192.7, such as a violent sex crime or a firearm conviction. In addition, if they are required to be registered as a sex offender under Penal Code Section 290, or if the applicant was convicted of a financial crime currently classified as a felony, these may be grounds to deny the application. Applications that are denied by CSLB staff do have an administrative appeal process known as a statement of issues, whereby an administrative law judge takes testimony, reviews the facts, and provides CSLB with a proposed decision. That is a summary of what my criminal background unit does.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
If individuals want to get construction industry experience, they may be able to work within the California Prison Authority's Career Technical Program, which partners individuals with trade unions, nonprofits, and construction companies to get the pre-apprenticeship skills and experience. This can help with placement into apprenticeships once they have been released. CSLB can work with the California Prison Authority to provide additional resources to assist, including a flyer or brochure. Board Chair Michael Mark has been made us aware of a comprehensive pre-apprenticeship curriculum developed and approved by the Building Trades National Apprenticeship and Training Committee. Committee member Jacob Lopez, would you like to comment on the MC3 Readiness Apprenticeship Program? Jacob?
There we go. Apologies about that. Yeah, so we have an NC3 program where we work with apprentices from all the different areas and scopes, where we give an opportunity for local, members to come in and expedite the process in getting into the union. We have recruitment, set forth. We have a team of about 6 reps assigned to recruiting and, expanding this program. Again, it's designed to help contractors meet their needs.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Are there any other ideas on how the committee can assist these individuals on their path to licensure? Do any of the committee members have any comments?
Preciado has raised his hand.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say that there are a number of nonprofit organizations I'm thinking of several in the greater Sacramento area that are doing some of this work specifically to support individuals who have justice impacted, to identify and find the programs like the one that Jacob described at MC3, and get those folks opportunities in building and construction industry. So I'm happy to share some of those with the committee, just the names of a few. Some of them are just locally based. Others are working across the state with folks who have been recently released from prison. And like I said, just to try and get them connected to those programs and the resources to be able to get back on their feet.
Okay. Any other comments?
Being none.
Okay, I would like to ask a question before we go to public comments. We're talking about these programs, but what I saw on the screen that Carol had up was that the possibility of denial within 7 years. So does that mean that, do we do any exceptions? Because I know that in order to be licensed, you have to have so many years in the industry, unless you're kind of working with another contractor. Do we have any leeway guidelines, or is that something we'd have to talk about and establish? And it's up for discussion.
So if they are less than 3 years with a misdemeanor and or less than 7 years from a felony, they will be denied. Most of them know that. They don't even apply. So what they do is, if they're interested in construction as a career, they'll go and they'll work for a licensed contractor and get their 4 years journey level experience, where they're waiting for their 7 years to expire, and then they'll come to us for licensure. So we actually don't deny very many of them, simply because most of them know that they can't apply within that time period anyway. So they'll just wait till their 7 years are up, and then they'll apply and go forward with trying to get licensure.
Can I comment on that? I just want to clarify something. You're looking at 2 separate issues though in a way, because you have misdemeanors. You have misdemeanors, say for a DUI. That's not in itself going to preclude somebody from licensure. And so we're going to take a look at it. So a misdemeanor, not looked at as being as serious as a felony. When you're looking at a felony, we're looking at our financial crimes, violent crimes, sex crimes. That's kind of the more significant ones. But, the information is on the CSLB website as to what would be considered if you make application. I think there's a real benefit in looking at opportunities for someone that's been released to consider a construction career. They may not have the 4-year journey level or greater experience, but they can gain that. So they get released, they can work for a contractor, and then they can become a licensed contractor. But we don't want to be discouraging people from trying to become licensed if they're qualified with a misdemeanor. Because the reality is, most of them probably do qualify in some way, and that is available on the CSLB website.
Okay, so they would work 4 years as a journeyman, and then the other 3, they can still continue to work under the licensed contractor because they still need the full 7. Am I correct?
Well, they don't need a full 7. You know, I don't know, Mike Jameski was pretty involved in that legislation at the time. What we're saying is that if you're convicted of a felony, we have authority in statute to deny you up to 7 years. What that law really said is after 7 years, except for certain circumstances, you can't deny them. They should become licensed. But you still have some discretion. Mike, do you want to add to that? I mean, you were involved in that. We had a carve out though for financial crimes, because one thing that's important to the Contractors Board is that if you're convicted of a financial crime, even if it's been longer than 7 years, we want that injured party to be made whole.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, if it's been 7 years, you're not on probation or parole, you're going to qualify. One thing we look at though is whether or not you're currently on probation or parole. What we're seeing a lot of today is where the criminal convictions are being dismissed. They're being taken off the record. So you go back into court, you can have it removed. And that would eliminate the 3 or so, 7 years, Mike.
Yeah, I don't have much to add other than Chair Love, your original question about exceptions. Certainly there are the 7-year conviction that below 7 years from the date of the application may be grounds for denial, but it doesn't have to be. A number of certain things need to be considered. So there's certainly exceptions. And as David mentioned, we must consider whether the applicant is rehabilitated. That's one of the big things that the legislation did. We have to determine whether if the crime was related to construction and if the applicant is rehabilitated. And I saw a question pop up on that on the screen. The answer is that there's several criteria that the law requires us to look at whether they're rehabilitated.
Yeah, but
Okay.
because some of the, for us, a lot of it is, have you provided restitution to any injured person? So a lot of what we deal here is financial crimes. So that's one way to look at, are you rehabilitated? Are you currently off probation or parole? Do you have letters from your probation officer? That's all something we look at. I think one thing the committee should be focusing on though is what can we do at CSLB to provide outreach to the criminal justice system to encourage people getting released to consider a construction career? Is there an opportunity to do that?
Okay. Thank you, Dave. And I would like to ask that we put this item for our board meeting to discuss further. And do we have any comments from the public?
Yeah, Scott asked a question concerning some of the things that you were just discussing, asking what a rehabilitated period means. If people with felonies or misdemeanors are prohibited for licensing for 7 years or 3 years, or are they on a probationary period while allowed to be licensed? And I think you covered that, and Scott, let us know if you have additional comments or questions.
Just to confirm what I think I said earlier, generally are going to deny someone that's on probation or parole. There's an appeal process though. Somebody that's denied can ask for a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. And so at that point, the administrative law judge can consider all facts and can determine if somebody has been rehabilitated and is appropriate for licensure. So that's a rather regular, it's a kind of a routine thing that we do here. We pay for an administrative hearing to let administrative law judge make the call if we're unsure. That's due process.
Okay.
And just for the requester, there's a link to a webpage in this slideshow that has everything that CSLB must consider regarding rehabilitation. So if you click on the link in this slideshow, it's lengthy, there's a lot of different laws, but it's written very clearly to assist with public understanding.
Okay, thank you. Dave, are there any other hands from public?
No additional public questions.
Okay, seeing nothing further, this completes the committee business for today. Can I please get a motion and a second to adjourn the Public Affairs Committee meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, it says a vote is not needed. A vote is not needed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, and the meeting is adjourned.
Alan, second.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you. Bye.